Hello. So I have been keeping bees for 7 years. First 2 years, I did not insulate my hives, but I started thinking that we all live in insulated houses, and why wouldn't the bees like to live in an insulated house? I figured they would consume less honey and requiring to generate less heat to stay warm and increase the survival rate. And I'm confident that that's true, and that's what's happened. Because a normal hive is 3/4 of an inch thick. And if you have handles cut, it's even thinner where the handles are. You can get on the internet and you can find a lot of videos where they're using some infrared cameras and you can see the heat loss coming through them. First year, I had 3 hives, first couple of years, and I insulated 1 hive to see the difference. I didn't have any thermometers inside, no sensors. I just made sense. And 1 inch insulation is what I put on. They sell thicker insulation and they sell thinner insulation. And thinner may work and thicker may work better, but 1 inch works well. If it works, there's no reason to change it the way I look at it. So anyway, so this hive here has been done. It's already been insulated. The handle's already on it. I did fill the holes on this one, the grab handles like this one, because I made a notch to make a 2-5 frame nukes basically. I'm going to try to winter with single stack just to see if they'll work, if they can survive, and we'll see what happens. When you put the styrofoam on, it covers up the handles. So you need to come up with a method to install handles. And what I do is I cut a hole in the styrofoam and I recess the block of wood, and then I screw it to the box. And the block of wood I use is 7 inches, 1.5 inches thick by 2 inches in the depth. And that will allow you to come out far enough to grab it outside of the styrofoam. And the 7 inches allows you to span the handle hole. Now, the box we're going to work on here, the handle hole is filled because I'm going to make a nuke out of it, and I need to put a divider in it. So I filled it with, actually, Auto Bondo is what I use. It worked really well. Okay, so how you do this is you stand it up, and you're marking your 2 inches. The 2 inch depth, that's going to give you enough depth from the top to be able to grab your handle. So then you need to make sure you put it on the right way. When you cut your hole, you need to cut your hole the 1.5 inch way, not the 2 inch way. Okay, so I'll stick it on here like this. And I will draw the 4 sides. Okay. This is it's a heavy duty snap blade. Very sharp, will cut you to the bone. So you need to be very careful and keep your hand out of the way. And you're basically gonna cut all the way through. You can feel when you're getting into the wood underneath. I got a piece of plywood underneath here so I don't damage my table. When you make your cuts, make sure try and go straight down, square, because if you don't, you can leave an off-shaped hole. So it's not the end of the world if you do that, but it's better not to. Okay, so I cut on all 4 sides, but I didn't go all the way through. So I need to go through. Being very careful. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of relief out here. Should make it a little easier to come out. Okay, you just look in there, you trim up your edges, and then do a dry fit, see how it fits, just like that. So it'll be flush on the box, and it sticks out far enough that you can grab your hand underneath of it. Okay, so I'm gonna do the other one. So I cut all my styrofoam on the table saw. I like a nice clean cut. I did try to cut it with one of these, and I could not make consistent cuts that when you match the corners up, they didn't match them. Another person may be able to do it. If you don't have a table saw, you may be able to make a jig with a couple of 2x4s and a hand saw. And because this is 38 degrees is what I cut it at. You can cut this at whatever you want. But it's important that the top edge of the box has this angle so the water will run off. If you put a flat surface on there, the water will set on the edge of the wood, and you know, over time it could cause you a problem. So that's why I do it this way. So the sides of the box are 19 7/8, and it's 9 inches from the bottom to the top. So from here to here is 9 inches. So I basically cut them at a little over 9, and then I run them through the table saw and chop them down tight 9. I was able to get 6 sets for deep boxes out of one 4x8 sheet. So that's at 6 sets. Okay, so here's how you do it. So what I use is Loctite Power Grab Heavy Duty Interior Exterior. It's good to like -50. And it works on styrofoam, works on wood. I always paint my boxes. First, when I assemble the boxes, I glue them, and then I screw them, or I usually screw them, and then 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of paint. It's really important because water can get behind this. The bugs will chew on a little bit, and when water gets back behind there, it'll rot behind the styrofoam. So it's important to do that. So what I do is make sure you put it on the right way. So you can put it on the styrofoam, or you can put it on the box. It's whatever you want to do. And generally 1 tube of caulk will do 1 box, all 4 pieces. So then, so what I like to do is I just stand on it. Just a little downward pressure on it. And then you'll push out the adhesive, and you're going to use it in a couple places, so not a problem. Okay, so now it's on here. You can still move it around though. So what I look for is the reveal. I want it to be even on both sides. I'm looking at this edge here, and I want it even. And when you run through the table saw, it gets kind of hot. And when it does, it gets rough. So what I do is any of this extra material I get, I just rub inside this, and it'll take paint a little better. If you don't use this, when you prime it and paint it, you'll fill all the grooves with primer and paint, or primer and paint. So anyway, you look at it, it looks even. I think it looks pretty good. This adhesive is water soluble. So all you need is a wet rag. Okay. One side's done. So I had a nephew, and he asked me when I was doing a project what the tolerance was, because I generally try to do things as good as I can, making it better than it has to be. Because what this is bees don't care. They don't care if it's perfect or not. So you can spend as much time as you want trying to make it perfect, but you're really doing that for yourself. And there's a value in doing it for yourself. I mean, I like my stuff to look nice, but it's not needed. It's not needed for the bees. So you may need it, and that's fine if you do. So now I'm looking at the reveal to see if this kind of lines up, which it does. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now what we do, put some safety glasses on. I'm gonna drill a couple pilot holes here. Okay. So then we're gonna put our block in there. We're gonna put our block in. Just a little bit of adhesive, not a lot. We'll seal all the edges with that adhesive. Okay, so then I use 2-inch screws to hold the handles on. Make sure and countersink your screws in, so when you want to clean the inside of the box, it'll clean easy. Okay, so we look at this, looks good. We'll seal up all those other things later. All right. Now, if the sides are a little low, just put some extra material in here. And also, if you're gonna knock holes in this styrofoam if you're mobile like what we are. You know, we have to move for honey production because we don't have enough nectar supply here near our home. So we move. But you know, when you're moving, you're gonna damage your hives. You're gonna damage the styrofoam. I mean, we do all the time, and that's fine. I don't worry about it, but what I do is I use this material, this adhesive, and I use it to fill any holes we get, and then I just repaint. I just drill the holes in from the edge a little bit. It doesn't have to be an exact science. You don't want to split the wood on your handle, which is why I pre-drill. And I recommend you pre-drill. A lot of work to go through to split your handle. So when I was on the other side and I drilled my hole, you couldn't see it. The screw is basically right there in that area. And 2 screws is enough. And if the handle is here, the handle normally does this and curves down. And that's why this goes past that edge, so you can catch a hard edge. So what I'll do before I paint this, I'll give the whole thing a light sanding. with some 220 or 120, it doesn't matter. Just some light sanding just to scuff it up so it holds the primer a little better. So you see these gaps right here? You can see how it spooged out a little bit there. Put a little downward pressure when you do this to try to get the material to go down in the crack. Yep. And like I said, with a saw, this got hot right here. So just take your finger, and then when you do a light sanding on it, it'll hold that paint a little better. So you're pretty much using all your leftovers. You got these little wings sticking out. You take your knife and you just cut it. It cuts easy. Sure, and keep your hand back. There's a gap in here. Once again, I want to fill these gaps. So the styrofoam was $22, and you can get 6 deep boxes, Insulate 6 deep boxes with that. And then the tube of this adhesive was about $6.50 a piece. So, and you're gonna use one. So once again, this upper edge right here, the most important. And over time, you'll get some separation there. And you can just go back out in your bee yard with this tube and do a repair and not even paint it, but it's worth filling that hole. And if you knock a hole in the side of your box, you can fill those with the same thing. I usually take a putty knife and make it flat. So I do not go all the way to the top because you need to have room to get your hive tool in here. And that's what this space is here and here. It allows you to get in there and not tear up your styrofoam. So that's pretty important. So once again, we can't really make a lot of honey here. We tried for years. Didn't work out for us, so we're mobile. And because of that, when we move our hives, I usually put a screen in, hardware cloth. And when I pull it out, it would tear the bottom of the styrofoam. When you peel the paint off and you nip into the styrofoam, the bees will just go in and just chew it up. So now what I do is I put a relief, and I'll show you how I do that, but you only need to do this if you're mobile and if you use a hardware cloth or you're worried about damaging the front. Just come on here, draw a line. When I do these for myself, I cut the styrofoam on the saw, but for the video, I'm not. Anyway, so cut your line. So you can see how that presses out. So basically, I'm just gonna take my finger, I'm gonna make sure that bottom is sealed. It is roughly about $10 in materials between the styrofoam and the adhesive per box. You know, I figured this piece of wood is free, scrap, and then plus you need to paint it. But you're still gonna paint your box anyway, so when you're done, you're basically painting everything twice. So there's a cost in paint and primer. Now, I get my paint and primer from Home Depot, Menards, from their estate pile. They sell it for it's usually about 35 bucks a gallon, and you can get it exterior enamel latex paint for around $8. And sometimes you can get 5-gallon bucket for about 12 bucks. You just need to paint all your hives the same color. So I don't know, about 3-4 years ago, I went to these brood minder sensors, which lets me track the temperature inside the hive, and which just makes me feel better that insulating the hives does work. I have never did a side-by-side comparison of an uninsulated hive comparing the temperatures with an insulated hive, because once I saw it worked, there was no reason to go back and try to do an experiment. There's a benefit to the insulated hive in the wintertime, no doubt, but I think there's a benefit in the summertime also. And like I'll look on on Facebook and the local beekeepers, and they're showing pictures of their bees bearding. And I go out and look at my hives and my bees, although they do beard some, it's nothing like what these other folks are showing, because once again, the hive is insulated. You know, my bees don't have to hang on the outside and try to run air through the hive to cool it and bring a bunch of water in. So my bees are out bringing nectar in, making honey, instead of cooling the hive. There's no doubt that that is true. I mean, I see it, and compared to the videos, I know it's true. So then the brood-minded sensor, I think, is really important to know what's going on in your hive in the winter. So then the only other part that I really do different is I did I custom built my inner cover to allow me to have this, I bought it from Amazon, this little square feeder that fits inside this threshold, inside this depth, and standard on the other side, but it's insulated. It allows me in the wintertime to feed pollen patties and to feed Hive Alive Fondat and anything else I need to do. And in the summertime, sometimes I just flip it over just to give the bees more space inside the hive if I think they're getting tight. So you can buy insulated inner covers. Better Bee sells one. I just saw it the other day. I thought it looked pretty decent. But for me, I like to make my own equipment, so I end up making that. And then also an insulated telescoping lid, I think is critical. So, you know, all in all, you know, weighing it all out, my time and the cost, I feel is well worth it. The cost of bees, you know, for a nuke is $200. For a 3-pound box of bees is $135, $140, $150. You know, I don't buy bees anymore. You know, this last winter we had 10 hives that were insulated. We ran 8 deeps like this, and we ran 2 double stack mediums that we're getting rid of, and all of those bees survived, all of them. When we first started, we ran a deep and a medium. That's how we started. Like, you know, that's what people told us to do, or double deep or deep and a medium. And a deep brood on the top is heavy, and I didn't want to lift it up. I mean, my buddy, he didn't want to do it either. So we went to a deep and a medium. And a couple years ago, I started doing a test to see if we could winter in a single deep insulated hive, and if we were going to be successful. And we did 2, I think, that first year, and they both survived. They came out strong. Last winter, we did all of them. We did all 8, and then we did 2 double stack mediums, and they all survived. They all came out. They didn't all come out strong. That's not how bees work, but they all did survive. And actually, yeah, I mean, they're out making honey right now. So I do think that it's easier to go to a single deep brood box with this insulated hive, and it's just definitely a lot easier to manage. So that's it. So if you have any questions, you can send them on comments, and pound a like, and please subscribe, and have a good day.